Good morning. How's everybody doing? Happy Thursday. So yesterday we talked about the power of questions, and let's keep on that topic. Let's not underestimate the power of questions. One of the things that we talk about, so let me back up, big picture. So when I get done with an event, especially a UPW, which is kind of our introductory event in the Tony Robbins world, um, people always ask, what do I do now? I mean, you spend all of these days at an event, you get all of this information, you're drinking out of a fire hose, and it's like, okay, now what do I do? Now where do I go? How do I start? Because I have all of this info, what do I do? And my position always is you start with a morning routine. Everybody that's successful at creating outcomes in their life, whatever those outcomes are, has a routine that they do that involves themselves and their outcomes pretty much every day. And the routines start something like this. Usually they get up early. Not everybody, but almost all successful people get up early. That's almost a universal. Not 100%, but it's pretty close. So usually they get up, and when they do get up, it's about themselves. They have personal time that's for themselves. That personal time involves the following things typically: some sort of physical activity, which can be meditation, it can be yoga, it can be hardcore exercise. I heard one person talk about how they live on the top of a building, and so their morning routine is they go down the stairs and then back up the stairs. And that's how they start their day. It's like 40 stories or something. So it involves some sort of physical activity. Secondly, it involves some sort of personal development. That can be reading, that can be, for me, it's priming, that can be listening to tapes, something like that. It can be something along those lines. And then it involves something regarding what their goals are, where they review what it is they want to do for that day, where they're going, what their outcomes are. Why that's so important is because we're deletion creatures. We're constantly deleting everything that we've taken in. You've got so much coming at you throughout the day that at night your brain gets rid of it all. And so you start out with a clean slate. And if you start your day by picking up one of these devices or popping on the television, somebody else is now directing your day. They're now getting you to focus on what they want you to focus on as opposed to what you want to focus on. So that's why, to me, a morning routine is where you always start. And then there's lots of things after that for personal development, but nothing is more significant as a morning routine. Part of that morning routine can be morning questions. And it doesn't have to be. This is one of those things that's an option, but if it resonates with you, I think it's a really good one, especially this time of year, because questions are how we think. So if you ask the right questions, you're going to think better. It's that simple. And people who think better make better decisions. If you make better decisions, you have a better life. Keith Cunningham, one of the greatest business minds of our generation, of the last couple generations, has written lots and lots of books, and he talks all the time about thinking time. And he's from Texas, so he calls it thinking time. And he has pages of questions that he sits down and asks about his business during thinking time. And he does it on a regular basis. He schedules thinking time so that he can sit down and think about what is it that I really need to do with my business. So the same can be true with you. And the thinking time should be in the morning as part of your morning routine. And the questions that you should ask should be questions that garner a specific response. What are you grateful for in your life? And if your brain says nothing, what could you be grateful for in your life? And how does that make you feel? Who do you love and who loves you? And how does that make you feel? What are you excited about in your life? And how does that make you feel? What are you happy about in your life? And how does that make you feel? What are you grateful for in your life? And how does that make you feel? Now, you can't just intellectualize here. You need to actually take a minute and feel the feelings. What does this do? First of all, it's going to send all kinds of positive endorphins all through your body because you're going to think about things that make you excited and happy and who you love and who you're grateful for and what do you feel good about. So it's going to change your whole makeup. It's actually going to change your body chemistry. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to create a new habit. Remember, it only takes 21 days to create a new habit. Do this for 21 days, and your body will wake up and automatically start thinking about those things. What is that going to do? That's going to put you in a whole different state. And remember, when you're able to manage your state, the different state that you bring to problems, that's the different you that you're bringing to problems, which means you're going to bring different solutions. What happens if we don't do this? Well, the news and social media and all this stuff, the only way they get your attention is to shock you. That's where we're at now. It used to be that you read a newspaper once a day. The headline was the only real shocking thing that you got, unless you happened to go to the barber where you might hear some news. Now we are just inundated with people striving for our attention. And the way they get it is they shock us. They shock us with something negative. So what do you hear all day long is negative stuff. Well, what's going to happen? You're going to start asking nothing but negative questions. Why does this always happen to me? How come I can't figure this out? How come I can't lose weight? How come I can't have the perfect marriage? Why are they doing these 3 things that would make it perfect? Forget the 97 things that they're doing that are great. We only focus on the things that aren't going right. We never focus on the part that is going right. How come Starbucks didn't make my latte perfectly? How come this person is driving so slowly and I'm going to be 2 minutes late? How come my spouse didn't put gas in this vehicle and now I have to go get gas? Those are the questions that you're going to be asking. And so that's not going to be empowering. It's not going to put you in a good state. It's going to put you in a crappy state. And so when something comes up in your life, what are you going to do? You're going to respond negatively. You're not going to respond positively. Whereas with this, it's going to start you off so that your day starts off right. And how do the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Because of how they think, because of how they approach. The richest people in the world that made their own money most of the time started with nothing. How did they get that way? They changed their mindset first. And this is the type of thing that you do to do that. Because the more that you have a positive outlook, there's a reason optimists not only are more successful, but they live longer. The more that you have a positive outlook, the more action you're going to take. The more action you're going to take, the more results that you're going to get. And if you're looking for the good results, you're going to find them. That's going to perpetuate this cycle. You're going to have more confidence. You're going to take more action. There you go. You've heard of our world famous dog, Bolt, who's now been with us for five months. And all we're doing is this process with him. Of course, when we got him, he was basically a feral dog. And he was terrified of everything for a good reason. That's how he survived. So we got to condition him to start thinking about things and not be terrified of it. Well, what needs to happen? Well, he needs to have an experience where he goes somewhere and it works out where it's okay. So we take him someplace and everything's okay. Then we let him go back to where he feels safe. Then we take him back to that place and everything goes okay. Maybe he gets a treat or he gets pets or he gets positive affirmation. Then he goes back to where he feels safe. Well, it doesn't take long, and now he goes to that place, and he's like, okay, well, I'm confident that everything's going to be okay here. Then we had another one, and another one, and another one. This is just a conditioning procedure that does the same for you. Because as you condition this in, now you're going to have a better outlook on everything, and so when the time comes to take a risk, you're going to go, okay, well, I'm going to be smart about this. I'm not going to be dumb. I'm not going to run off a cliff and think I can fly. I'm going to analyze the outcomes, but I'm going to take a shot at this and see how it goes. And here's the great part. If it doesn't go exactly as planned, which is probably not going to, managing your state like this is going to allow you to look at the things that went right, learn from the things that didn't, and try again, which is the formula to create any outcome that you want to create. Know your outcome, take massive action, see whether or not you're getting closer or further away, learn, change your approach. That's how we create any outcomes that we create. Christopher Dakin, who's watching this, Mr. Dakin, it's great to see you this morning. Our brilliant fisherman who's able to catch these massive fish in places that you shouldn't catch these massive fish. He catches fish that people will travel up to Canada and pay huge amounts of money just to get a shot at catching one of these fish, and he catches them outside of our small town. How? In his brilliant words, if you want to catch big fish, you got to go fishing for big fish. Brilliant. How many of us wake up in the morning and go fishing for big fish? Or how many of us are looking at how can I survive by catching a couple of little ones and just enough to get by? If you want to catch big fish, you got to go fishing for big fish. The way to catch big fish and decide to go fishing for big fish is to have the confidence that you're going to be able to do it. He has all the confidence in the world now because he's done it. But there was a day where he didn't. There was a day where he had to say, I'm going to be able to catch a big fish here. I know I'm going to. And I'll bet you the people that were around him were like, your ass, it's not going to work. Guess what? He brings in a lunker, and now everybody believes. That's how you create outcomes, whatever it is that you want to create. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you so much for being on here. I'm going to say hi, Kathy Benning. Great to see you. You in town? You out west? Where you at? Dylan, thank you so much for being on. Mr. Dakin, of course, great to see you, brother. Karen, great to see you. Katie, oh my goodness. Katie Norman up in Canada. How are you, dear? Love you. Thank you so much for hanging out with my daughter in Florida. I so appreciate it. Scott, great to see you too. And Murat, good to see you. Thank you so much. I am truly touched when everybody takes a minute to watch. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.